Hi everyone. Hey, guess what? More DVDs. So here we are, video 22 in the DVD collection. There is a playlist on my channel. You can follow along that way. But here we go. First up, we've got Anthony Perkins here in Orson Welles' adaptation of The Trial. Written and directed by Stephen Poliakoff. This is The Tribe. And quite a mixed cast here that includes Neil Morrissey, Adrian Dunbar, Donnie Wahlberg, and Pete Postlethwaite. This is Triggermen. Now this is actually the BBC series of Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon in The Trip. And here we have two of the movies, The Trip and The Trip to Italy. I absolutely love these movies, just great fun, always makes me laugh. And here is The Trip to Spain, and I have The Trip to Greece just as a digital download. Christopher Plummer and Yul Brynner in the war movie Triple Cross, directed by Terence Young. Steve Coogan again in Tristram Shandy, a cock and bull story, directed by Michael Winterbottom. Leni Riefenstahl's controversial Triumph of the Will. I gather another one's about to go into production, but here is the original Tron. And Norwegian movie Troubled Water. Brad Pitt and Eric Bana in Troy. Now I do have a special box set edition of this, but I'll show that in a later video. Robert De Niro and Robert Duvall in True Confessions, directed by Ulu Grosbard. And Clint Eastwood in the race against time to release a prisoner who's on death row. This is True Crime. Watched this just the other night actually, following the passing of Bernard Hill, who plays a prison warden in this one. Yeah, it's quite a trashy movie, but entertaining. Classic John Wayne performance, and Glenn Campbell as well in True Grit. And a very different version from the Coen brothers, but excellent, with Jeff Bridges and Matt Damon. Arnold Schwarzenegger in True Lies. Now, shall I give you my thoughts on 4K edition? No. True Romance, directed by Tony Scott, and starring Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette. And David Byrne's True Stories. Bryan Cranston as Dalton Trumbo in Trumbo, with Helen Mirren and Diane Lane. And directed by David Schwimmer. This is Clive Owen and Catherine Keener in Trust. From 2006, this is the Oscar-winning Tsotsi. And a great movie this from Francis Ford Coppola, Jeff Bridges in Tucker, The Man and His Dream. Vietnam movie from director Uwe Boll, this is Tunnel Rats. And Special Forces into Afghanistan drama, this is Chris Hemsworth in 12 Strong. Somewhat inspired, I guess, by Robert Bresson's L'Argent, this is $20. And Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later, I think another one's about to go into production. And 28 Weeks Later. Really good movie this from Spike Lee, Edward Norton in The 25th Hour. And classic Disney, Kirk Douglas and James Mason, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Really good early movie from Shane Meadows, this 24/7, really good performance from Bob Hoskins. And a great movie this from Mike Mills, this is Annette Bening and Billy Crudup in 20th Century Women. Twilight, the complete set of movies. And starring Hiroyuki Sanada, who's currently to be seen in Shogun. This is The Twilight Samurai. Jackie Chan ×2 in Twin Dragons. And David Lynch's Twin Peaks, Fire Walk With Me. Doug Ray Scott and Rhys Ifans in Twin Town, directed by Kevin Allen. And Jet Li and Michelle Yeoh in Twin Warriors. Nice bit of Hammer horror here, directed by John Hoff. This is Twins of Evil. And an all-star cast, including an early role for Charlize Theron, 2 Days in the Valley. Too Fast, Too Furious. And I've talked about this one before on my channel when I talked about two films from the director Gregor Jordan. This is Two Hands with Heath Ledger and Brian Brown. Kenneth Cranham and Leo Bill in Two Men Went to War. And directed by Don Siegel, this is Clint Eastwood and Shelley MacLaine, Two Mules for Sister Sarah. John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John in Two of a Kind. And from director Peter Hyams, this is a follow-up to 2001 A Space Odyssey. This is 2010, the year we make contact, with Roy Scheider and Helen Mirren and John Lithgow. From Vittorio De Sica, this is Sophia Loren in Two Women. And from Breakdown director Jonathan Mostow, this is Matthew McConaughey in the submarine thriller U-571. Weird Al Yankovic in UHF. And written and directed by Victor Nunez, this is Peter Fonda in Uli's Gold. Really like this one from Jean-Pierre Melville. This is Alain Delon, Richard Crenna and Catherine Deneuve in Un Flic. Has one of the great opening sequences. I absolutely love the opening tracking shot, which is in a rain-soaked seaside town in France. Looks absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, good movie. Directed by Angelina Jolie and from the novel by Laura Hillenbrand. This is Unbroken. From First Blood director Ted Kotcheff, this is Gene Hackman, Fred Ward, Patrick Swayze in Uncommon Valor. And directed by Andrew V. McLaglen, this is John Wayne and Rock Hudson in The Undefeated. I have the first one on Laserdisc, but this is Steven Seagal in Under Siege 2. And Liam Neeson and Laura San Giacomo in Under Suspicion. And different movie, same title. This is directed by Stephen Hopkins, Gene Hackman and Morgan Freeman, Under Suspicion. And from Zone of Interest director Jonathan Glazer, this is his earlier film, a really unusual one this, with Scarlett Johansson, Under the Skin. Jack Lemmon and Carol Lindley in Under the Yum Yum Tree. And a great silent movie from Anthony Asquith, this is Underground. Now, I've talked before on my channel about an earlier film he did, a silent movie called Cottage on Dartmoor, which is absolutely fantastic movie. So I don't think this one's quite as good, not quite as technical, but still a great silent movie. Directed by David Gordon Green, this is Josh Lucas in Undertow. And although not great, I still like this one. This is Kristen Stewart and Vincent Cassel in Underwater. Classic Western from Clint Eastwood, Unforgiven from 1992. And going back to 1960, this is Burt Lancaster and Audrey Hepburn in John Huston's The Unforgiven. Looking at the events of September 11, 2001, this is Paul Greengrass's United 93. And directed by Roland Emmerich, this is Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren in Universal Soldier. Patricia Neal and Shelley Winters in An Unremarkable Life. And maybe one of my favourite movies actually from Tony Scott, this is Unstoppable with Denzel Washington and Chris Pine, involving a runaway train. If he pulls a knife, you pull a gun. If he puts one of yours in the hospital, you put one of his in the morgue. That's the Chicago way. That's how we get Capone. That's my dodgy Sean Connery impression there, and this is Brian De Palma's The Untouchables. I think everyone starts crying in the opening few minutes of this one. This is Pete Docter's Up, and a sort of news reporting comedy drama, this, with Michelle Pfeiffer and Robert Redford, up close and personal. Great performances from George Clooney, Anna Kendrick and Vera Farmiga in this one, Up in the Air. School teaching drama Up the Down Staircase with Sandy Dennis and directed by Robert Mulligan. A documentary this about the Yangtze River, Up the Yangtze. Kevin Costner and Joan Allen in The Upside of Anger. And Brittany Murphy and a young Dakota Fanning in Uptown Girls. Directed by James Bridges, this is John Travolta in Urban Cowboy. And here, the Urban Legend trilogy. In a follow-up to The Fugitive, this is Tommy Lee Jones reprising his role in US Marshals, tracking down Wesley Snipes. And from Jordan Peele, this is Lupita Nyong'o in Us. Overly stylized neo-noir from Oliver Stone, this is Sean Penn and Jennifer Lopez in U-Turn. And from Turkish director Nuri Bilge Ceylan, this is Uzak. Cara Delevingne and Dane DeHaan in Luc Besson's Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. And written, directed by and starring Alejandro Agresti, this is Valentine. Tom Cruise, Kenneth Branagh and Bill Nighy in Bryan Singer's Valkyrie. And from 1967, this is the classic Valley of the Dolls, starring Barbara Parkins, Patty Duke and Sharon Tate. Milos Forman's working of Dangerous Liaisons, this is Valmont with Annette Bening. And John C. Reilly and Salma Hayek in Cirque du Freak, the vampire's assistant. Tom Cruise and Penelope Cruz in Cameron Crowe's Vanilla Sky. And I have the original on Criterion, but this is the same director, George Sluizer, doing an inferior American remake with Jeff Bridges and Kiefer Sutherland, The Vanishing. The original, though, is just incredible. A different kind of vanishing, this one. This is a lighthouse drama thriller with Gerard Butler and Peter Mullen. And classic road movie from 1971. This is Barry Newman in Vanishing Point. Chevy Chase in Vegas Vacation. And Paul Walker in Vehicle 19. Ewan McGregor and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers in a movie about glam rock. This is Velvet Goldmine, directed by Todd Haynes. And a Shaw Brothers movie from 1969, Vengeance is a Golden Blade. A double bill here of Hammer movies, The Vengeance of She and The Viking Queen. And Peter O'Toole, Jodie Whittaker and Leslie Phillips in Venus. Okay, I'll pause it there. Let me know in the comments what you think about any of those movies, and stay tuned for the next installment. Okay, all the best to you. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.